Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I've hit the big
Absolutely.
time finally.
Well, listeners, I met John in person at Home Gym Con last year, and I'd been following him for a bit, and we've been, messaging and whatnot. So I knew him when I saw him, and I had the pleasure of meeting your family there too. And I thought, oh, this is great. We'll hop on a podcast. And then fast forward, it's almost time for another Home Gym Con. Time
I
flies.
know, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's the you were yet another home gym content creator who's taller than me. I was like, this is a.
yeah.
I was like, I'm noticing a disturbing trend, and and then Kyle came in and saved the day. I said, there
Oh,
you go,
yeah.
my man,
Yeah,
my man.
he's on your team. No, well, I mean, hey, when I look at some of your lists, though, you got me beat because that's one of the things I wanted to have you on for, John, was to get
Okay.
into. Well, I should compliment you first of all. Garage gym life. I love that you're not afraid to go in different directions with it. So before we get into some of these classic lifts that really caught my eye, why don't we get into that first?
Sure.
What do you consider the bread and butter? What do you consider uh, the home base, if you will, of garage gym life? Is it making content that's just highlighting other people's pursuits? Is it doing reviews? Is it doing some of your stuff? You're not afraid to get a little comical. You're not afraid to let loose. I just saw you dancing on Friday.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, In fact, my daughter and I actually just shot the footage for our part of tomorrow's dance party video.
Nice.
So that was
Nice.
like some of the delay. I was like, because I was gonna do it earlier. I typically do it early, during the day or earlier in the week. But I had promised her. She saw Carp, Eric Carpenter, Coach Carp.
Oh, yeah.
He sent in a dance video of his kids. So when my daughter saw that, she said, "Oh wait, kids can be on this," because I'm always telling her I don't want her on the internet. I'm like,
Yeah.
we can wait. And so I say, okay, I guess I can't. I said, all right. So this one time I will let you be in
Yeah.
it.
It's a
So
rare
because I
thing.
promised, it's the rule. If I promise, and that's just something that I do in life. It's like I don't promise often, but if I promise it, I got to do it. So I said, all right, get back from cheer practice, and I was like, all right, it's before you go to bed, let's knock this out. And then, she said, all right, cool. So then we knocked it out, and then she went on and I got her settled down or whatever. But the fundamental premise that I approach garage gym life with is what would have helped me when I was a home gym owner. Not even my first year, because my first year I was fresh out of being in a commercial gym space. I worked in a public gym for the first 5 years after college, so my entire focus was on that. So when I first started working out at home, I'm not sure that home gym content would have really helped me because, first of all, I mean, there's only so much you can do when your gym consists of two 70-pound dumbbells in a wooden box at the foot of your bed.
Yeah.
There's not, so it wasn't until I would say maybe about 2 years in when I was doing the Craigslist, the newspaper classifieds, looking for equipment, things like that. And at the same time, I was getting frustrated with having to adapt all the training that I found to my situation because all the content that I could find, I was a huge fan of Iron Man magazine at the time,
Yeah.
and most of the content I would find was geared towards someone who's training in a public gym.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have I started doing positions of flexion by Steve Holman and Jonathan Lawson, and they had these exercises that required machines I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I wanted, even if I had the money for them, I didn't have room. Because I mean, at one time, my home gym was in a shed outside the house. Like literally, It didn't even have a floor; it had gravel. And I remember I would do I decided, I'm not sure why. I thought, I don't know why I hated myself at this moment in time, but I decided to do German volume training.
Oh.
And I like the simplicity of it. It's basically 10 sets of 10 for your main exercise. And then you do like 3 sets of 10 for a couple of accessories and then you're done, right? And it sounds like nothing, but that 10 sets of 10 is murderous, right? So
Yeah.
number one, you got to keep track of your sets. So the way the gravel played into it is I had like a railroad tie on one side of the shed, and I would put 10 rocks on the
Mm.
railroad tie. And after every set, I would take a rock off and just throw it back on the floor, on the ground, basically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that was like really, really bare bones. And I still have a picture of that shed in my garage gym now to kind of remind me of where I came from. I don't have any pictures of the loft. I wish I had taken pictures of that, but this was my second home gym, and it was
I
that
just stumbled
shed.
across a picture of my home gym the way it used
Yeah.
to be in my basement before
Yeah.
we refinished the basement and before I have the space I have now. And I thought, oh man, I need to print this out. I need to hang this up in the
Yeah.
gym. So that's on my to-do list for,
Yeah.
I have a list of things that I want to do around the gym, and that's on it. Like frame that first
Yeah.
picture. So
That's what I did with
I'm
that.
with you.
It's
Yeah.
I've got it in actually a 3 picture frame. The
Mhm.
first picture is from when I've been working out maybe a month, so I was still like really really skinny, and I was like skinny fat, so I was skinny but with a gut,
Sure, sure.
and that's at the top as a reminder to never go back to that. And then the middle picture is me in front of the shed, and then the third, and my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, took that picture. And then
Nice.
the bottom picture is a picture of me doing some dumbbell bench pressing on top of a stack of sandbags in our bunker just outside Fallujah, Iraq.
There you go.
And I just think that's a cool picture,
Yeah. It's a moment in
because
your time.
that's technically where we lived. So I was like, hey, that was a home gym.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so I think like garage gym life is there as something that would help me back during that time period when I was in the heat of it, trying to stay motivated, deciding, hey, do I want to keep doing this thing or do I need to go to a public gym? But my wife and I had just really gotten together.
Mm.
So we have a blended family. So we have 4 boys and a little girl.
Okay.
And this is both of our second marriages. So we blend the household and we've got all these kids. So money's tight.
Yeah.
In fact, she lost her job. We met each other. We're both employed. And in fact, she had gotten a new job that made more money, significantly more money. Not long after we started dating, we're like, "Oh, this is great." So we
Yeah.
decide we're going to get married, and she gets pregnant, and she gets fired, and she's within
Oh.
that 90-day window. So it's like, so we went from 2 incomes to one, just like that,
Oof. Plus
and
with a
that was
baby on the
brutal.
way. The
Yeah,
family
it was
growing.
brutal, man. Yeah.
Oh
So
man.
I was like, well, I know I want to keep working out, and
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, well, I don't really have a choice. So anyway, it's for that guy who
Mm.
may not have, maybe you don't have the money for the fancy setup, but
Yeah.
you want to know how to spend your money wisely, or maybe you've got what you need and you're content with the equipment you have, but you're starting to lack motivation.
Mm.
All right, so now I need to show you that it's been done because, to quote Anthony Hopkins from The Edge, what one man has done, another man can do.
Love that
Um,
movie. Love it. I was a
that's one of my favorite
survival,
movies. Yeah.
life support and
Um,
survival in the Air Force. So any kind of movie where people are surviving, I love it.
oh yeah, I love stuff where it's like, my wife always laughs, but I was like, my favorite type of anything to consume is whether it's a book or a movie. It's somebody gets put in a situation that they couldn't have prepared for, and I
Hmm.
want to see what they do.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do
Absolutely.
now? There's
Yeah.
you could not have envisioned, like, let's say The Walking Dead.
Hmm.
You didn't go to bed. Rick Grimes goes, he's in a coma. Before he went in that coma, he never would have envisioned that zombies, when he'd wake up, there'd be
No.
zombies, right?
No.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
what do you do next? And I'm
Yeah.
fascinated by that kind of stuff. So,
That and The Edge, Anthony Hopkins, he
he's a millionaire,
if I recall
multi-billionaire,
correctly,
actually, in the
he's
movie.
obsessed with like reading about and studying this stuff. He's just never done it for real.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like now it's go time. Like now it's like, oh, I've been living for
Exactly.
this. Like I've been waiting for this moment. And Baldwin's character kind of underestimates that. So I think that applies somewhat to some of the things we do in the home gym or just in
Yep.
strength pursuits. You might really, you might be putting in a lot of study into like, okay, what's the technique here? How am I going to pull this off? How am I going to do this until you finally get that thing? Or if it's a piece of equipment that you're saving up for, you're
Yeah.
looking forward to it that I'm going to program this. I'm going to do this once I get this piece in my gym, and then you finally get it. So
Yeah.
I could see that. Let me run this by you, get your opinion. So you mentioned that it's when your wife and things got serious and you and your wife got engaged, but then money was tight for multiple reasons. You decided to start a home gym. I'm
Well, I already
sure you,
had the home gym.
oh, you
I
already
already
had,
had the home.
but it was
Yeah.
going to
So
help.
what happened? Yeah. So
It's
what
going to help
happened is,
financially
I
to have it.
yeah. So what happened is when I had a home gym because I worked in a public gym,
Mhm.
and I thought I was going to work in as a strength and conditioning coach,
Okay.
and I wasn't making money doing that. And I was like, I'm just tired of scraping by. And
Yeah.
so one of my fraternity brothers worked for a Fortune 500 company. He said, hey, if you want to, we have an opening if you want it. So I said, okay. So that was actually good for me in a way because I left the job where everybody's not in super great shape, but you're in gym culture. And then
Hmm.
I got a job working around just regular people,
Yeah.
right? And it was weird because I've been in the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps Reserve at the
Sure.
time. So I want you to understand, like, I'm sure I saw people who were out of shape,
Yeah.
but it didn't register. And then I
Hmm.
go to work, and that's the first time I was around a whole lot of people who were out of shape, like people walking
Yeah.
by with pot bellies and everything. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I felt like I had landed on Mars.
Yeah.
So then I started living their lifestyle in the sense that I'm working long hours. I
Hmm.
couldn't get to the gym. I tried going. Like, I've never had a gym membership, by the way.
Yeah.
So I tried to go to the gym and get the day pass. I said because I say if this works, I'll get a membership. And I just couldn't do it. I say this is stressful. By the time I get done with work and try to get home and then change, or even if I go straight there and change there, it's just not working. And so that's what led to me going and buying two 70-pound dumbbells from a Play Against Sports. I got a wooden box that the gym was selling because they were upgrading from that to Reebok steps for their
Mm.
step aerobics class. And that was my first home gym. Then I moved to the Atlanta area, and then I had a little bit more room. And so I had the shed, and all my coworkers knew I was working out at home. So they started giving me all their cast off infomercial junk they bought intending to
Yeah.
use and
Yeah.
never did.
They're
So
like,
they
"Oh, I
started
got
giving
this
me all
thing
this
kicking around here.
junk.
Do you want it?" Yeah.
Yeah, and I never turned anything down because
Yeah.
my attitude was like, if I don't want to use it, what I'll do is take it to Play Against Sports and trade it in for something I do want.
Sure.
So that was how my home gym started.
Mm.
And then when my wife and I moved into our place, is like we actually moved into a place that was halfway because she was working in Chattanooga. She lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee,
Okay.
and I was in Gwinnett County here in Atlanta. So essentially, that's 300 miles apart. Okay, so now we said, well, let's get somewhere that's halfway between both of our jobs.
Makes
So we
sense.
moved to a completely different neighborhood and brought all my home gym equipment and then somewhere in there, and I was still getting stuff from people at work. So that was actually my third home gym, and it was my first garage gym
Mm.
when we combined our homes. But she was coming from gym culture, like having a membership at like Crunch Fitness. And so we were like, okay, well, is it worth it to keep getting this stuff, or should we just get a membership? Because I mean, it's like they make it sound easy. Oh, it's just $10 a month, an
Yeah.
additional, whatever. It's oh,
There's a
sure.
whatever it is, initiation fee. There's some
Yeah,
fees
it's like, oh,
involved,
it's so
but
cheap. You should just do this.
yeah, yeah,
Why have all this junk? And, we want to be able to park in the garage and all that. So we're wrestling with that at the time.
sure.
Is what I'm saying. And so I just make garage gym life for the purposes of encouraging people who are in that situation, who are losing motivation, or who either need information or motivation in
Mhm.
order to continue on your path. And that's what we're
Well,
here to give you, whatever that is for
that's
you.
what I wanted to ask was I'm sure you see the memes and you see the references all the time that like I'm going to save money with a home gym, and then you know
Yeah.
$10,000 later it's like no, you didn't save any money. But I see it. I've really thought about my kind of journey through home gyms, and I didn't start out too different. I had a studio apartment that I got some hex dumbbells in the corner, and
Yeah.
actually, technically, my first home gym was at my mom's house. I got a bench and I put it up in the attic. It was like in storage. I was surrounded by
Nice.
like Christmas decorations and stuff,
Yeah.
lifting up there, and of course, it sounded like it was the whole roof was going to cave in anytime I
Yeah.
dropped anything.
You live
But
in that John Grimmick lifestyle.
exactly.
Yeah.
So then fast forward though, it was time for sure. You know, once I started having a family, a wife, kids, it was time. I loved being able to just work out at home. But then financially, although at first pass, if you walk through my gym, people would be like, whoa, like you put a lot of money into your gym. I think what
Yeah.
people don't recognize is that it was a slow acquisition. It was a little bit by
Right.
little bit, kind of like you're mentioning that, like, okay, this person gave you this, you took it here, then you purchase
Yeah.
this. And I'm sure there are people, and I see them because I buy their stuff whenever they sell it on the used market, that do dump a lot of money at once
Oh
into
yeah,
their
yeah.
gym. They're out there,
Especially
and that,
during lockdown.
oh yeah, and that's fine. That's cool. I'm not looking down on them, but I think there's a lot of people that had my journey where it was just a little bit at a time. Like I didn't have a power rack for I don't know how many years. I was
Hmm.
just praying that I'd make it back onto the little squat rack that I had, and not be dropping the barbell.
Yeah.
So I see it more as like an investment from that angle. That a gym membership, once you quit, there's no liquid like asset that you're walking away with. There's no value that you're walking away with besides your experience and your strength. But you do have something you own with your home gym that you
Right.
have invested money in, that God forbid if you had to get rid of stuff, you could.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm blessed, I guess, because of how I grew up and being in the Marine Corps as well. I'm not super attached to things. So my philosophy is always, if we, let's get rid of it. If we're not using it, let's get rid of it and make room because I don't like clutter.
Mhm.
So I'm like, let's get rid of it. And my wife is always like, well, what if you need it? And I'm like, well, they'll
Yeah.
still be. If I need it, they'll probably still be selling it or something like it. I'll just buy it again, right?
Yeah.
But and I mean, I know that may seem to some people wasteful,
Hmm.
but to me, there's a little bit of it's not quite opportunity cost, but it's um, I like to not be a prisoner of things,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm like, if I haven't used it in 6 months, let somebody else could use it, right?
Sure.
And now it depends because like when I had my car wreck, rolled over 5 times, I
Oh,
wasn't able to work out. So
when was that?
um, that was a
When was that? When did you have the wreck?
about 3 years ago. Three
Okay.
years ago. So I went 2 years without really being able to work out.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put on a ton of weight. It was miserable. In
Yeah.
fact, so when I saw you at Home Gym Con
Mhm.
last year, I had just started being able to. We had gotten the settlement not too long before,
Mm.
and I had started to just be able to work out again. So anyway, so for that's an anomaly. I wouldn't get rid of my stuff there because I know, hey, as soon as I'm able to work out again,
Yeah.
you know, I'm back to it. But I mean, like I've got we were looking at stuff. We're actually trying to figure out how to fit this wall mounted unit in the gym. Trying to figure out where to put it, right? And it's just kind of just where it is kind of is disrupting the feng shui of the gym for me. And so I'm
Yeah.
not completely satisfied with where it is. So we're gonna move stuff around. But anyway, so in the process, we're talking about different things. And my wife was like, well, when's the last time you used that? And I said, well, actually, I use it in the morning. I
Yeah.
use it in the morning while because she works from home. So I use it in the mornings when you're, when you're at work. It's just a stretcher. It's one of those leg stretcher things, right? And I said I
Oh,
use
okay.
that. I like watch something. I said, so you hear me come down here, and you don't know what I mean. You don't hear anything. I just walk in. I said I'm probably sitting down, like watching TV, and I'm stretching.
Doing it. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but that we're at the point now where it's like, hey, we can get rid of this because the other thing is for her, the gym can't look not cluttered, but she's got to be able to walk in and see where everything is,
Mm.
just like in a public gym where you walk in and you know where that machine is and where this machine is. Because otherwise, it's intimidating to her from the standpoint of this is going to take too much effort to even set up,
Mm.
and it's like a barrier to entry. So she'll like screw it, I'll just do it later on, and she'll turn around and walk away, right?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So it's got to so for me, the gym has to be something that's conducive for both of us to enjoy working in there. It's got to make you want to come in and work out in it.
Yeah.
Which is why, by the way, I don't have an objection to nice stuff, but I'm not the guy that's like, oh, it's got a scratch on it and I got to protect my Sarah code and all
Yeah.
that. I don't want my gym equipment to look better than I do.
Yeah. I've had some company owners on here. For example, Lemaster was on here, Lemaster Barbell with his deep dish weight plates. We're talking about them, or surplus strength. But it's come up at different times about Grant from Strength Co. about the difference between what their returns will be that someone like, well, in shipping there was this little
Yeah.
piece right here was chipped
Yeah.
versus 1 week of use in your gym and the way things are all banged up and chipped and
Yeah.
scratched and whatever. And I never really thought about it until I started talking with and speaking with the company owners that, oh yeah, I mean, that is kind of an odd thing that, it's this like perfection of purchase is demanded. So I
Yeah.
try to be a little forgiving when it comes to that, that when something like a weight plate gets shipped to me, I mean, if it's like it's a
Yeah.
weight plate, I'm going to put it on the bar. I'm going to lift it.
I'm
And
gonna
around my
scratch it.
gym,
So
that's one of my biggest kind of things is that, because it's no secret I collect vintage weights, but I think sometimes people don't realize the revolving door nature of my gym. That's why I
yeah.
started Instagram in the first place, is that I wanted it to be like a photo album of things. So a lot of times when I post something on Instagram, it's like my goodbye to it.
Oh
it's,
wow.
like,
Okay.
it's like, all right, well, I'll remember you fondly,
Yeah.
because I just traded it or sold it or whatever. And there's
Yeah.
other stuff I'll keep forever,
Yeah.
or that I have held on for a long time. So that's my kind of thing I'm wondering with you as I hear you talk about this kind of like, oh, I haven't touched it, time to go. Is there anything that has stuck around for the long haul in your gym that, has been around for years now?
Yeah, and I mean, probably my compact glute ham raise
Okay.
it's been there for a minute. Because this is so when I got it, it was the only one on the market that wasn't a full stand up glute ham raise. So now it's normal
Yeah.
to have these little glute ham raise things and
Mm-hmm.
attachments you can put on the rack and but at the time there wasn't anything. You either had a full size glute ham raise or you didn't, or you were doing these Nordic
Yeah.
curls with your Achilles tendon hooked under a bar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Brian Schwab, who owns Orlando Barbell, created that. I don't really
Hmm.
remember what it was that caused him to create it, but he didn't call it a home glute ham raise. He called it a compact glute ham raise. And I said, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
perfect for a home gym."
Yeah.
So I got it, and then I guess he may have started marketing it to home gym owners or whatnot. After I called him all excited about it and ordered it. But then Rogue started coming out with theirs, and everybody else started coming out with theirs. So whatever.
Sure.
Regardless, that one's been in my gym for some time. I've got a Rogue Power Bar. Yeah, a Rogue Power, not an Ohio Power Bar, but a
Yeah. Yeah.
Rogue Power Bar. The original
Interesting.
Rogue Power. I've got that.
That's cool.
I've got their Castro bar, their
Mm-hmm.
first generation Castro bar that I deadlift with.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything else. My dumbbell rack, and actually we were talking about getting rid of that because we want something that will store kettlebells as well. But
Mm-hmm.
my dumbbell rack we've had since 2000. Yeah, so we
Nice.
got a few pieces that have been around for a little bit.
That's one
But
thing I'm looking to upgrade that I'll be walking around Home Gym Con thinking about, is that I need a better dumbbell rack. And I've been tinkering around with a
yeah,
couple different ideas. And I have Globe dumbbells that are
yeah, yeah,
the vintage Globe dumbbells are much longer, a lot of them,
yep,
than typical dumbbells. So I need something, probably trays tend to work out well
yeah,
rather than like cradles or
yeah,
rather than rails.
yeah.
So yeah,
I'm
that's
not a fan of cradles at all. Anyway, I got a video on my YouTube channel
mhm.
where that I shot at a hotel, and I was like, and in fact, I'd say people now,
Apologize.
if you have the choice, um,
Go ahead. You're good.
you
Sorry.
good? Okay,
I
yeah,
was
you just
apologizing.
froze.
There's a little, some kind of notification came up on my computer. I
No, that's all right.
apologize.
You froze. That's
Yeah.
why I stopped.
Oh, okay, cool.
Um,
Go for it.
so I'll just say this as a side note, and they're not paying me to say this, but
Yeah.
if you have a choice, I mean, I am taking money. So if they hear this, I'm taking money, and you just hit me up. I'll give you my contact information. You can pay me. There are various ways to pay me, but Homewood 2 by Hilton, Homewood 2 by Hilton has the best weight room of any hotel I've ever been in. And so I was in one of those, and I was looking at it, I said, this is actually because you're a content creator, you're constantly thinking, right? And I was in
Sure.
there and I said, oh man, this is a great opportunity. So I shot a video talking about home gym setup. And I said, compare your home gym setup to the way hotel gyms would do it. So, and in the video, I mentioned that I hate cradles because cradles take up, they, to me, they reduce the number of dumbbells you can have.
Yeah. There's big space in between them usually. So yeah. And
Yep.
as far as not paying you, you never know. That's how some sponsorships happen.
Hey,
So
I listen, man. I say it all the time. Okay. And here's the other thing: as a content creator, people have this impression that if you say something nice about a brand, it's because they're paying you to do it. Oh well,
yes.
you get the. It's part of why I don't like the affiliate link thing. I don't
Yeah.
care that other people do it,
Yeah.
but I don't want to have to constantly say use promo code XYZ to do this or
Yeah.
whatever. For one thing, I don't know if people actually do it. I know I don't do it. I couldn't, in fact, I couldn't tell you the last time I put in like somebody's promo code for whatever, right? Because it just doesn't, I
Uh,
don't mind doing it, but I just don't, it doesn't occur
yeah.
to me to do it because I'm also not an impulse buyer. So by the time I
Yeah.
decide to buy something, I probably forgot your promo code. No,
Yeah.
sorry to everybody out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just like it takes me a while to, to grab something. And
Yeah. Yeah.
then but then there's a ton of stuff that I see I just think is a good idea,
Sure.
like Home Gym Con, for example. I saw when I found out about it, Jake didn't have to like offer to pay me to start promoting it. I just like, oh, this is great because again, I'm looking back at me in 2004, 2005, 2006.
Hmm.
Imagine if this thing had existed. I mean, maybe I wouldn't have gone, but
Yeah.
I know I first went to the Arnold in 2013 because we had wanted, my wife and I both wanted to go to Arnold for a long time. Went to the Arnold, it was nice, but we were around a bunch of people who kind of, it was almost like we were related to each other, but we kind of didn't too. And when I went to Home Gym Con, I felt like I related to everybody there.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
still, believe it or not, I am fairly introverted. So I tend to be a people watcher and I'll sit back and I'll watch people. I love watching people's body language and things like that. So I still do some of that there. But had Home Gym Con been around, let's say 2018, 2013, 2014, I would definitely have gone
Yeah.
because I was looking for community and that fits the bill. So for me, it's if I see something that I think is a good idea, I feel the responsibility based upon being a content creator. I don't know if you could call me an influencer or not, but being a content creator and looking at the purpose for which I started my channel, I feel like I need to say, hey, I think this is a good idea. And if I don't like it, I say, I think that sucks.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think,
But I'll take money.
yeah, exactly.
If you
I
offer money,
won't,
I'll take it.
I mean, I won't rehash. I have a whole video explaining my take on affiliate links on my YouTube channel. And so I won't relive the whole thing. Um, but I have a few, and the few that I have, my general take is that it's got to be something I regularly use, a company I respect,
Yeah.
and something I actually would suggest. If I was sitting next to someone talking to them about home gym kind of stuff, that I would actually say, hey, yeah, man, like barbell rescue, it's expensive, but you're going to love that thing. Like you,
Yeah.
so that's where,
But it's like barbell
um,
rescue, you're not buying it all the time. You're gonna buy it
no,
once and be done.
exactly. So,
So if you take that, okay, you're gonna own it for 30 years. All right.
yeah,
How much
yeah.
does it cost if you put it up against that's what I'm
But,
saying. It's like
well, I
I
mean,
don't yeah.
but that's the thing. If you look at my affiliate links, I think I have like, they're all small purchase items. And you quickly, anyone who
Yeah.
watches review videos and things, you start to realize that, like, oh, okay, a lot of these guys probably make a lot of money because of affiliate links for large purchases. If
Right,
someone
right.
uses my code for a $20 purchase, I mean, that's great that I got 20 cents headed my way, but that's
Yeah.
not really like putting food
Yeah.
on the table over here.
Not riding in a limo
So,
off of that. Okay.
so
Yeah.
that's where, like, honestly, at this point, it's more about just supporting a couple small companies that I really like and that I like the
Yeah.
people that own and run them. I like Kim. He's a cool dude. He's coming back to Home Gym
Yeah.
Con. So whether people use my code or not, the other reality people quickly realize is that a lot of the companies, whatever the code is, and I don't know if you notice this, when you go to a lot of the companies' websites, that's the exact same discount you're going to get if you sign up for their email. And that's like,
Yeah.
I've noticed a very regular thing there. So
Yeah.
really, you don't have to search out someone's code either. You're probably just going to go on a website and see, oh, I can save
Yeah.
15% if I sign up for the email. Okay, I'll give you my email.
So
So
I mean, it's like
it's one of those
one
things
of the
that,
things that I
you
do is
know,
like,
hey,
yeah, I don't do affiliate links for anything I review. The exception is the barbell jack. And they're like, "Hey, you want to do affiliate link?" I said, I'd rather not. But eventually it was like, "Yeah, sure, okay." But for me, it's just not worth it because I you already have an impression. People believe that you're getting paid to because some people do. Like whenever I watch a review by somebody, and every review for this product from some like they do multiple reviews for the same company, and
mm-hmm.
every product is amazing and has no flaws.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. Um, whereas for me, I mean, I'm full disclosure. I get paid for doing reviews, but I get paid a flat fee, right?
Mm.
Because my philosophy is you're paying me for my time.
Yeah.
Because you know, somebody you'll understand this, but somebody who's on the outside looking in is like, oh, you're getting a free piece of equipment. Yeah, that's nice, but the reality is this thing shows up at the house. You put it together. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's instructions, maybe there aren't. You put it together. Then you have to write a script. At least I work off a script when I'm doing a review.
Yeah.
Write your script, which is related to researching the specs. Like, do you really think I know like the specifications off the top of my head? And no, I wrote a script. All right. So I wrote
Yeah.
it. I write a script. Then we do. You set up the cameras. I use 3 cameras typically if I'm doing a review. All right. So I set them all up to have good angles. Not to mention getting B-roll. Then I shoot the video, and hopefully I don't have to do any reshoots. But the first shoot goes well. All right. So I don't have to do any reshoots. Then I got to break everything back down. Then I gotta edit the video, and I realize nobody cares who's hearing this, but I'm gonna tell you anyway.
You'd be
So,
surprised. I mean, it's all good.
yeah, so I edit the video. Then after I edit the video, I put it together. Then I submit it to the company so that they can check it. And one of the things I stipulate in the contract that we sign with everybody is I'm not gonna change my opinion because my opinion is my opinion. But if I say that this thing costs $5.99 and it actually costs $3.99, well,
Mm.
yeah, I need to fix that. So I mean, I
Yeah.
can make mistakes. If I
Sure.
say it's a 3x3 and it's actually a 2x3, we
Yeah.
need to we need to fix that.
Yeah. If
So
you
check me,
misstate
and
the
make sure I didn't.
facts, yeah,
Yeah, if I
it makes
mess up
sense.
on something like spec related or something like that, let me
Sure.
know, and I'm happy to change it. Um, or another good one is like if I say yeah they don't have a like I say the warranty period and it's inaccurate.
Mm.
Well, maybe I saw something on a different page or whatever and of their website, and I don't know what the warranty is. So things like that. So I submitted to the company, and so let's say I don't have to do any research based upon an error. Okay, we're still by this time looking at least 6 hours of work.
Oh, easy, easy. And
Easy,
I
six
mean,
hours of work, right?
I was just
Then I got to
messaging
make
with
the
someone
thumbnail.
about when
Yeah,
you're recording. It happens to me sometimes. Everything's going great. I'm like one take, boom, 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 and then you just get
yeah,
hung up, or at least I do. And it's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Like I just start tripping over myself,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
next thing you know, an hour goes by. You're like, what happened? Like, so
Yeah.
sometimes stuff goes sideways like that, or
Stuff just happens.
for the
I
longest
mean,
time,
and
I
it's
had
easy.
audio
You can
problems.
end up like 20 hours
Easy.
trying to review on
Hmm.
just on editing and making a
Yep.
video look good, and then you make the thumbnail. That doesn't really
Yep.
take a whole lot of time for me now,
Yeah.
but then I've got to research the search engine optimization
Hmm.
of the product so that the title I give the video matches what people are searching for,
Hmm.
right? And that takes time. Okay, all that. So you're paying me for my time, and to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I'm underpaid. If you really look at like whatever
Like per
whoever's watching
hour.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're watching this, just thinking about like, you know, I just gave you basically an 8 hour day. You know what I mean? So
Easy.
now divide that out by an hour. How much you paid by an hour is like, would you
Yeah.
want that? And then sometimes companies, and I always refuse this, but sometimes companies will offer you the product in exchange for a review, but no money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, you work there. How'd you like it if tomorrow you work an 8 hour day and they don't give you any money? They just give you one of the products to take home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, seriously. So I approached this like a job.
Sure.
Even like when we went to Home Gym Con, I was like, this is not a vacation for me. This is, it's fun. but I'm here to work, you know?
100%. Yeah,
And that's just the attitude I have. So with that, I say, okay, I take a flat fee. And as a
I like that.
result, I'm able to give you my opinion about the product. And just about everything I review, there's something I don't like about it,
Yeah,
you know,
that's the
because
nature
we
of
live
it.
in a world that's imperfect. Yeah, human
Yeah,
beings made the thing, human beings are fallible. It's just a matter of like, number one for me with a company is, it's not that I don't want them to ever make a mistake. It's I want to see what you do when a mistake is made. What do you
yeah.
do to make it right? And was the mistake something that is a pattern? You know, like there's one
Uh,
company that I will not do any reviews for. I don't want any of their equipment. I don't want it to come near my house. I no, I don't like it at
You're
all
just
because they've
done.
got a
Yeah.
track record. They have a track record of poor customer service and bad quality control. And so for me, I'm like, it's not worth my time. But if a company, especially a small company, has an issue, and then I want to see like how they correct the issue and how they respond when I reach out to them to say, hey, this is wrong. This was a problem or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And those are the companies that I respect, that I am willing to review
Hey,
multiple things for.
I like it. I think I just made a
Yeah.
decision about my future. Like if I ever,
What?
if
I
I
feel like
ever,
Yoda then.
yeah, you did. You just, we just had a moment here in the Dagobah system. So, so I think
Hope
I
you
just made a
ask.
decision that the majority of my content is old weights, vintage weights, barbells, you
Right.
name it. But I do have a handful of reviews of modern things that I use that I like, or modern weight plates and things. And I have some coming down the pipe, like LeMaster, like I mentioned, that I'm just doing because you know, just I want to. LeMaster's not paying me, and they don't
Right.
have an affiliate program. Like, it's just a cool weight plate, so I'm going to make a video about it.
Yeah.
But if I ever do start leaning that direction of doing some reviews of things, yeah, I like that. You sold me. I'm heading that direction. Okay. Because I do get asked, I think a fair amount of times I get asked by companies, a lot of them that I've never even heard of before, that can we send you this thing? Can we do this? And I decline or don't respond to a lot of them because it's just not my
Right.
thing. And
Yeah.
especially if I've never heard of the company and then I take a look at their website or take a look at the product, I'm like, okay, that looks like every other $200 bench that I've ever seen. Um,
Yeah.
or whatever it might be. There was just one that really, I don't know, they hit me on like a weird night where I was just sitting on the couch. I happened to check my messages and I almost playfully, I was like, yeah, send me it.
Yeah.
And the next week, there's this huge box on my doorstep.
You're
And
like,
I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? Like, what have I got myself into? So then
yeah.
I sent them a message. I was like, listen, I do not want to put out negative stuff about your product. I will give
Yeah.
you my feedback, but just so you
Yeah.
know, right out of the gate, I'm not filming a review of this. And I think it's in your best interest that I don't. And they actually
Yeah.
treated it pretty well. They were cool with it. They were like, we appreciate that. Like, let us know what you think of the product. I'm like, okay. So then I just shot them all
Yeah.
my feedback and I never made a video. So that's the one
Nice.
time that I kind of
That's funny.
half-heartedly stepped into the
Yeah.
reviewing influencer
Well, I
life.
mean, I don't
And
think that that's your thing, though. And
yeah,
to be honest
right
with
now
you,
it's not.
well, I'll say this. You know, I think that this is slightly a pet peeve of mine, a little bit. I think that there's been way too much of equating home gym equipment collection with home gym content. For example, all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So home gym equipment reviews are part of the home gym community, but that's not the only part. And I think that we need more colors in the tapestry of the home gym community. And that's why I like what you do, because
Well, thank you.
you highlight ways to train that are very accessible. You kind of like Brooks Cubic. They're very
Oh,
accessible in
that's a
that.
compliment. Thank you. Dinosaur
Oh
training.
yeah, if you
Man.
don't know if you're watching, you know who Brooks Cubic
Whew.
is. That dude
Go
is,
read Dinosaur Training. Yeah. Man.
yeah, yeah. And I like the other one, Gray Hair Black Iron.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then he did the John Davis story. Yeah, but
John Davis. Yeah, and if any
yeah,
listeners
I've
don't know
communicated
John
with him a few
Davis,
times. Oh,
Oh
that's
my
the man.
goodness, one of the best, if not the best. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, he's from the
he's
era when they had to warm
yeah,
up the barbell by the stove in at York. Yeah,
yeah, and one of the
because it
few
was so
men to
cold.
lift the actual opponent's axle too.
Yeah.
One of the few.
Um, super strong dude.
Yeah.
But
So sorry, I had to jump in as
so
soon as
no
you
no no
said
no.
those
It's
names.
just
I
I'm
was like,
thinking
ooh.
to say.
Yeah.
So I just think like okay, like a lot of the things that are physical culture related. I call it physical culture, like the
Yeah, yeah.
old time training, is
Hmm.
very conducive to being done at home. Because you're not probably gonna go to. I mean, even like a hardcore strongman gym, you're not gonna go in there and do a lot of these old exercises. People, they're just
No,
not gonna relate to it, right?
no.
And so I think that home gym training and old time strongman lifting go hand in hand the way they did when these guys were coming up with these lifts. You know,
Sure.
I mean,
I
some of
mean,
them belong to like these academies or like Professor Attila's academy or
yeah, yeah,
whatever, and in Sig Klein's academy. But there's a fair amount of hey, I'm you know looking for something to do in my strongman show tomorrow.
yeah,
I'm here at the house just playing around. I wonder what happens if I do this. And that's how some of these
yeah.
exercises came about. Um, I mean, even Maxick, he's doing muscle tension because he's at home. So I like that, and I think that you fill a niche that is largely untapped. Maybe
Yeah.
Atlas Power Shrugged is kind
I
of
would
dipping into
say
there too,
Atlas Power
but
Shrug is incredible. Has some really
yeah,
good
but
content.
most
Does
people
some
aren't
great
really
stuff.
talking about it.
He's out there in like the parking lot. Like he's that's what I love about
Yeah,
it. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
look at this dude in his jeans in the parking lot. But he's
I'm
very
just glad he got the
knowledgeable.
jeans sponsorship he wanted. Like he
Yeah,
kept on talking about,
seriously.
hey, I want to get this.
Yeah.
Like he was working out on those jeans, like because he wanted the sponsorship. I said,
He
buddy, I
deserves
hope you
it.
get it.
I
Yeah, I
do
was like, I
too.
hope you get it.
Well, the other one
Uh,
is Strongman Archaeology. Um,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who that is. He's actually
yeah,
the one. And
he
I'll say,
is
man,
very knowledgeable. Yeah.
he is the man. He's actually the first person I ever saw do a Steinborn.
Hmm.
He gave me a lot of information that led to me being able to do a lot of different lifts. Excuse me. He did like my best all time Scott lift is 230 pounds,
Whoa.
which I don't know if it still is, but that was like 20 pounds under the all time world record.
And
And I
describe
didn't
for the
know.
listeners the Scott lift.
All right. So a Scott lift is
And
you're
I
on
mean,
your
just a
knees.
summary, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually not an old time lift necessarily, but it's something from the United States All Round Weightlifting Association. So the IAWA doesn't recognize it, but the USAWA does. And basically, what happened is one of the people in the USAWA saw nurses lifting patients out of the bed, and they reach out with their arms and kind of do like a princess carry, but they have to lift you. They kind of roll you towards themselves to lift you out of the bed. So they created this lift to honor these nurses who were doing this, work, right? It's important work. So basically, the barbell's on the floor. You kneel down and you put your arms under the bar as if you're going to zercher it, and you have to roll the bar towards you and stand up.
Mm,
So you start out on your knees and you go from
yeah.
kneeling to suddenly the bar's in the zercher position,
Yeah.
and you have one knee up, one knee down, and you basically do a stationary lunge from that position. It's not quite a split squat because your rear foot's not elevated, but you do a stationary lunge to stand up from there,
Hmm.
and then you put the bar, back. You return the bar to the floor,
So there's a lot of
and
stabilization and bracing.
oh
Yeah.
man, it's horrible. And then for me, the reason I was able to do so much is just because I had the right, I could catch it at the right point,
Okay.
right? So I would like roll it towards me, and the momentum helped me actually lift it. But
Mm.
anyway, so he was, he gave me a lot of good tips on that. If not, and he actually put probably 50 pounds on my Steinborn from when I first tried it
Wow.
to when I like my max Steinborn is
Okay.
and I mean it may be like if I were to go on a cycle and train it hard now, I probably get more than that.
Hmm.
But because it's always a percentage of my walked out squat. So as
Yeah.
my walked out squat goes up, my Steinborn goes up as I just train it a little bit more.
And
He's
Steinborn
the one that
squat,
showed
you're
me in the
taking the
pullover
barbell
press.
and then bending it over your shoulder, not bending it, but you're bending over and getting it on
Yeah,
you and then standing up to a squatting position.
it's also called a
Martens Lisi
rockover squat.
has the world
Yeah,
record, did it with humongous globe
he did it
barbell.
with
It's pretty cool.
560.
Yeah.
But you know the thing about that, and I'm not going to be that guy,
Please
but
do. Be that guy.
well, I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to be the guy that's like, oh, the old time way was better and all that. I mean, I'm a fan of, innovation,
Mhm.
I like not having polio, that whatever, I
Yeah.
don't mind.
It's nice.
But
Yeah.
I will say that when Henry Steinmore set that record at 555,
Mhm.
he was in a business suit in his 50s and he was at the World's Fair. Okay.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Martinez Lisa's trained for it for
Sure. Yeah.
months and
Yeah.
got five. At the time, Henry Steinborn, I think he weighed like 198, maybe 200
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Martinez Lisa weighs much more than that. So I'm not saying that's less impressive, but I'm saying it.
Well, I do have a little background on it that lends a little air of impressiveness to Martens. Is that when Ode Haugen was on the podcast on home gym history, he
Yeah.
he's a legend, and he
Oh, yeah.
trained with
Nice guy.
Martens, and Martens lived with him for a period of time. Well, when he was living with him was when the idea was pitched over the phone to Ode, like, "Hey, do you think he can do this? Do you think you
Yeah.
can do Steinborn?" And he said, "Oh, at the time, like Martens was just walking behind me, like through the kitchen." I said, "Hey, you think you can do this?" And he said, "Yeah." And like that's what it took. So it impressed
Yeah.
me that like at that point Martens was so far along in terms of strength and just where he was in his career that like, oh sure, I'll break a world record doing that thing that I've never done before.
Yeah.
Like it was just like a shrug of the shoulders. Sure.
Yeah.
So
I probably can
that
do it.
was
Yeah.
impressive. But the image in the mind of this man in his 50s in a suit, like stepping out and doing this, it's great. It's just
Like, from what I
classic.
understand, he was like, they called him out. He was just in the crowd.
Yeah, he didn't
Now, there's a
arrive to
fair
do
amount
it.
of showmanship back then, so
Oh
they
yeah,
may have planned it all, but
maybe.
he's
Yeah,
standing in the crowd. That's why he's wearing a suit
yeah.
at the
How cool is
World's
that?
Fair. And they said, hey, how much can you do? He said, well, all right. So he comes up there, bangs out 555. And they're like, all right, very well.
Wow. Well,
But
John, I want you to come to Home Gym Con in a suit and just
oh,
kind of just come up to the grip competition, and then I'll just call you out. I'll
okay,
just be
yeah,
like, "Oh,
that's not
hey,
happening. But
gentlemen
yeah,
over here, why don't you step up?" Like, yeah, we'll
I
just
can
set it. We'll set it
100%
all up.
guarantee that
Yeah.
nothing you just asked is going to happen. I'm not going to show up in a
Oh
suit.
well.
Okay, well, no, I will come to Home Gym Con.
Yeah,
Everything
you'll
from
be
that
there.
point in the sentence, not happening. But yeah, man, it's just I like, for me, a lot of people get into physical culture history because they kind of want to connect with the past and all this kind of stuff. And for me, it was more about, like, I started with Stuart McRobert, and it was like, at the time I was struggling to put on weight, and I it happened a really bad snowstorm, and I got stuck at I had just gotten his book Brawn, and I got stuck and snowed in. So I read the whole book, and I was fired up to go train, because he's talking about, saying, hey, you're training too much. You've got to add, if you're a hard gainer, then you need to dial it back. He's talking about 20 rep squats and all this. I said, oh shoot.
Yeah.
And then from there, I go and I read Super Squats by Randall Strawson. I'm like, oh, heck yeah, squats and milk, squats and milk. So that kind of got me started on that, right?
Sure.
And the major thing for me was, if you train, and I think Atlas Power Stroke just said this too, but basically, if you don't have access, if you're not taking any sort of drug enhancement, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm not, then if you train like the people before steroids were even invented, you have a good chance of getting the same sort of gains that they got, from their training.
I love it.
And to a certain extent, they got more, because the type of training they did develop their tendons and ligaments in a way that people who take not just anabolic steroids, but any sort of performance enhancing substance don't get, because they're able to shortcut, like their muscles grow, but the tendons and ligaments don't, can't keep up. So they actually end up vulnerable to injury because of it. So for me, that's what it was. It's like, how can I train in a way that's going to make me as strong as possible, as durable as possible, for as
Yeah.
long as possible. And to me, the way to do it is by emulating the people who were able to do that thing. They trained for as long as possible,
Hmm.
and they became as strong as possible, and they did it for as long as possible, and they were durable.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's what
have
it is for
seen
me.
Atlas Power Strike. I've seen him mention things, especially with like traps in his back and stuff,
Yeah,
post progress that he's made. That's very impressive doing
yeah,
the old time exercises. And
yeah,
he's made that point, and I think it's a valid one. And the way you phrased it, I think is right on the money. You're inspiring me to get back to some of these lifts. I've been in my training. I've been obsessed, and it's been a growing obsession with grip strength the past probably year and a half to 2 years. And as that's happened, when you spend your time doing one thing, you lessen
it's
doing
easy
the
to
other
let go of
thing.
the
So
other. Yeah,
so I haven't been doing as much time board. The last lift I was really trying to work hard on was doing a bent press and doing it well, because
mm,
I recognize that like anyone can do a bent press, but I really wasn't doing it optimally. When I
right.
noticed actually was when I visited York. I did a at York Barbell. My buddy Deep Dish Globes is what he goes by on Instagram. Vintage weights collector, really great guy. He filmed me while we were there. I got on stage in their like auditorium, and there was just like
Yeah.
a 30 or 40 pound round head dumbbell holding
Okay.
open a door. So I was like, oh, here, let me grab this. I'll do a bent press. And I did it. I thought it'd be just good content, like throw it at the start of the video or
Yeah.
something. But when I looked at it, I thought I was getting critical of myself. I'm like, oh man, like this looks more like a windmill or something with a kettlebell than a bent press. Like, what
Yeah.
am I doing out there?
Yeah.
So then that inspired me last summer. Like, I gotta get better at this.
Yeah.
I got a couple of the classic books and I read them, how to perform the bent press, and whatnot. And actually, James, Strongman Archaeology, he's the one who sent me the right guidance. Hey, read these books and check this out,
Yeah.
do this, and I followed the plan. So I'm doing a little better with it. But that's really the last year the only kind of old time strongman,
Yeah.
if you will, lift that I've been working on. What initially led you towards some of those lifts? Was there anything that kind of sparked the curiosity?
James actually.
Okay,
So I saw him doing a Steinborn,
nice.
and I was like, "What the heck
Yeah.
is this?" And so I just messaged. I said, "What is that?" And I already had Garage Gym Life at the time, and
Okay.
so we were talking, and he was like, "I said, so are you training at home?" He said, "Yeah." And we just started. So next thing I know, I'm trying stuff that I see him do: self-loaded leg press, the bent press. Because at the time, I remember he did a bent press, and I was like, "Wow!" And I was just talking to him. I said, "Yeah, I can do a bent press about 135." Had never done it. So then I go to do it, and I realize I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, okay. In my head, I said I could do it, which means I got to train till I can do it, and so now I can do it. But it's like that was just a thing. I can't go back and say, "Oh, well, man, remember I said actually it's 95." No,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
No, so I
There's
can't do that.
25s on there. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's really what started it. And then I also enjoyed one hand deadlifting. So I saw
Mm.
somebody do a one hand deadlift. They didn't do it the way that you would do it in competition, where you're straddling the bar. Instead, it was out in front of them, and I just
Okay.
thought that was cool. Like to be
Yeah.
able to like walk up to somebody else is deadlifting with two hands and you pick it up with one. It was stand efforting. That's what it was. He told this guy, he said, "Hey, if you don't deadlift this, I'm gonna do it with one hand and embarrass you."
Oh no.
And the guy didn't get it. Was in one of his like those old bodybuilding videos that have like the training and eating and all that stuff.
Uh huh.
It was one of that.
Okay.
And and so he said, "All right, I told you I'm gonna embarrass you." And he said, "I hate to embarrass you," but he grabbed it, he just stands up with it. And then he also
That's
did a
great.
suitcase carry. I saw he and Larry Wheels in the same video, and
Okay.
he did so they're doing a farmer's walk, but
Yeah.
they're using the barbell, like a 45-pound bar, instead of using the farmer's carry handles.
Of
So
course.
they're just walking. And I was just like, "Oh, that's cool," just to be able to do
Yeah.
that. That's the kind of stuff I like. So, especially as I get older, I
Yeah.
love being able to do stuff that people don't expect me to be able to do. Um,
That's what I like
and
about
that's the
grip,
cool thing.
because there's stuff now since I've been getting into it that are sitting around my gym, blobs, inch
Yeah,
dumbbells, whatever it might be, that, as soon as someone walks in, they're like, what is that? Like, what? And I'm like, well, try to pick it
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Like, why don't you pick it up? No, 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 just one hand pick it up. You know? And
Yeah.
they're like, oh man, how do you do this? And I start showing them, okay, well, here, try this one, get some chalk
Yeah.
on your hand, give it a shot. Even my kids, like my son's friends, they're 10, 11 years old. When they came in a gym not long ago, they're like, what in the world is this? I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
boys, let me show you. Like, here, this is what you need to
Exactly.
do. So, and I like the historical connections with grip stuff too. So that's,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get a video out soon before Home Gym Con and giving more historical background of the
Right.
lifts. I briefly kind of mentioned with Saxon and with Thomas Inch some of the lifts, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
I mean,
There's best laid plans. We'll see. We'll see if I
I,
get that done.
I think that grip stuff is like okay, and there's another thing too. I guess I say one another thing I like about physical culture because I consider myself a physical culturist is it's not limited by like any one. So like if you say, well, I'm a power lifter, okay,
Yeah.
you may do a bunch of accessory movements, but you're essentially defined by the squat, bench press, and deadlift.
Yeah.
If you're an Olympic lifter, you might do accessory movements, but essentially it's a snatch and a clean and jerk. CrossFitter, it's whatever whoever is in charge of putting together the open, it's whatever he
Yeah.
dreams up. But they also have like there's certain things, like the way that they do the kipping pull-ups. That's CrossFit stuff. The way they deadlift, that's some CrossFit stuff. Um, and same thing, strongman. There's certain things like you see a yoke, they're defined by that. Whereas being a physical, it's
Yeah.
body weight stuff. Just like you see people doing like the reverse Nordic now. That's a physical culture thing. That was one of the things that I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to just do a reverse Nordic. People are like, oh my god, what just happened?
Yeah.
And it's like, is he stuck down there? No, I
Yeah.
love doing
What's
that.
happening?
Um,
Yeah.
I saw Adam Glass
Mm-hmm.
did a monkey press and that immediately I wanted to try it.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's watching who doesn't know what that is, it's basically you hang on to a pull-up bar with one hand, and then you pick up like a kettlebell or dumbbell with the other hand, and you press it overhead. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Adam
once
Glass
I saw him
is
do
like,
that, oh,
he's
he's the man.
phenomenal. He's
Such a
phenomenal.
cool dude too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a cool dude. So I met him when we live streamed the first arm lifting at the Arnold.
Oh, cool.
And that was
Okay.
such a cool. So I got to meet him. I got to meet Eric
Yeah.
Rusin. I got to meet
Nice.
a
Nice.
bunch of different people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Eric
like I
came
said,
on to
they're
do
really
the
cool
history
dudes.
of
Tanner
arm wrestling.
Merkel, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never met
Those are some
Tanner
cool
or
people.
Adam, but Eric came on to do the history of arm wrestling, and I met him at a competition in Virginia last year, heavy hands.
Yeah, they're awesome,
And
cool,
yeah,
laid back guys. Of course, Ricardo Magni.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but like I said, the thing I like about it is you can do so many different things.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can do grip stuff. You can do body weight things like what I was mentioning with the reverse Nordic.
Mm-hmm.
I like doing like one of my favorite lists for a long time. I haven't done it in a while. It's the neck. You do a neck bridge,
Yeah.
and then you do a pullover and press. Right.
Okay.
I love doing that. I like doing the where you're flat on your back and
Mm-hmm.
you do a pullover and press. And that one actually, that video is on my channel, and a lot of people started watching it during the pandemic because people were at home and they didn't have any way to bench. And I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
showing like, hey, this you could floor press if no, you don't have to have somebody hand you the weight
yeah.
if you're floor pressing.
Absolutely.
So that's just a fun thing for me.
Yeah, your
And
arms are kind of like a
that's the other
deadlift
thing.
jack, basically. Your arms are like a
Yeah,
deadlift
it's
jack.
almost
You're
like a
just
reverse power
yeah,
clean.
yeah,
Like you just pull it over. Again, a lot of it's timing, but for me, the thing is, again, to not have limitations on you, and I guess that kind of ties into my martial arts background too, because I took Jeet Kune Do, and so
okay.
it's like having no way is using no way as way, right?
Mm.
So it's like you don't have any limitations on how you choose to attack. Instead, it's basically whatever is available that you can make work. And I take the exact same approach to most of my life, but to lifting too. And so as a result, I'm able to learn from a lot of different people, which all comes back around to why I do Garage Gym Life the way I do. Because I don't know what that thing is going to be that resonates with you, that makes you go downstairs one more time to get, you were going to quit. You're like, let me just go back downstairs one more time. Maybe it's seeing this trick. You're like, oh, I want to try that. So you go to your
Yeah.
garage. Or maybe it's hearing somebody's story. Okay, you go to your basement. I don't know what that thing is going to be, But my goal is to give you the tools and resources you need to make you succeed as you pursue your goals in what I consider to be the best gym in town. That's your home gym. And I don't know, because I don't know what that is for you. I mean, there's billions of people on the planet. Everybody resonates with something different. I want to give you everything because something's
Yeah.
going to click with you. Something.
I agree. And I mean, there's just little things that happen. Like even just hearing the way you were talking about some of those lifts inspired me in the moment. I thought, you know what? I don't really have anything set with my squats right now. The way that I'm treating how I'm doing squats, I should really get back to Steinborn squat. I should do better at that. Like I should really push that more, master
Yeah.
that more. And so I agree with you. There's a certain video, a certain whatever it might be, even just a small thing, a little reel you put out might inspire someone in one direction
Yeah.
or another.
Because we have a responsibility,
Yeah.
and I feel the weight on me. Like the bigger my channel grows, the more I feel the weight of
Mhm.
responsibility to not put out garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I think, and I'll say it, I think that a lot of home gym content is boring because there's been so much over emphasis on just equipment collection
Yeah. Yeah.
and people watching reviews, and they tend to be the vocal ones, the ones who watch your review video. They may
Yeah.
not have any intention of buying that widget that you just spent, what we'd say, 20 hours, up to 20 hours putting together this video, but
Yeah.
they watch it.
Sure.
And then the companies are offering to pay you for it. And so as a result, there's an incentive because now you get your affiliate link, or in my case, I got paid for my time.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
incentive to do that, but that's not the entire home gym experience. And one of the things that I've been harping on my podcast every Friday morning is it bothers me that there are channels that are actually successful channels. If you just look at the number of subscribers they have that are
Mhm.
home gym channels, that most home gym owners who will never get shown, they'll never get it shown to them, right? And what I mean is, like, if you start out and you're watching a channel like mine, well, probably not if you're watching a channel like mine because I'm very eclectic, but if you're watching No Fake, okay, I like
Sure.
Jonathan stuff. So No
Yeah.
Fake 24/7. You're probably never going to, if you watch Jonathan stuff and you watch Garage Gym Lab and you watch Garage Gym Radio and Gray Matter Lifting, okay,
Sure.
you will probably never see a video from Midas Movement.
Gotcha.
But the dude's got 5 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And I'm not even
That's wild.
exaggerating. And
Yeah.
and it's every one of his videos is shot in his home gym.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's a home workout channel.
Yeah.
So you're watching these channels that are home gym channels, you'll never get that recommended to you. You're a
Interesting.
woman and you're watching our stuff, you'll never see Grow with Joe. She's got 7 million subscribers. All of
Wow.
her videos are in her living room. Every one of her videos is in her
Yeah.
living room. If that's not a home gym, or at least a home workout channel, I don't know what is.
So it's just
Um,
in that algorithm, it's just not piecing it together.
and
Yeah.
I'll say this, just from your own personal experience.
Uh-huh.
When was the last time, if ever, that you turned on YouTube and a video from Garage Strength was in your home screen or your Discover page, whatever?
Almost never. Yeah.
Okay.
So, huh.
And he's even got
Okay.
Garage in his name.
Yeah, yeah.
Garage Strength. He's got 500 and something thousand subscribers.
Wow. Yeah. Well, as a
Okay.
guy who's just creeping
That's-
up on 2,000 subscribers, I mean, I'm like small potatoes. But
Well, yeah, but still, my point
It's,
is, like, there's so much overemphasis on just,
yeah.
like, you say, okay, this is home gym, and it's all about equipment
Yeah,
reviews,
yeah.
that there's all this other stuff out there
Yeah.
that's successful that we are deprived of. And the only reason I know about it is because I go look for it.
I was just going to say, so, I mean, clearly people are finding those YouTubers, but
Somebody's watching it.
it's not just from what YouTube is recommending. It's, they're going out
Exactly.
there and they're searching for them, or they're, hearing about them like right now. Someone listening to this
Exactly.
podcast hears it and says, wait a minute, I never heard of this person. Like, who is this? And then boom, they're
Exactly.
searching for them, and it's a word of mouth kind of thing going on. So
Yeah.
that, or the very last thing you said about your review process, the search optimization. I was like, I don't do that, and I think I need to. I was like, so I was like, oh man,
I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure I just found a thorn in my side.
but that stuff is tough, man,
It
because like
is.
you
It
gotta think you
is.
can only be good at so many things, and I'm not necessarily good at it because I mean I'm here, you know, hitting refresh, hoping to hit 30,000.
Yeah.
Maybe if I go to sleep and wake up, it'll be at 30,000
Yeah.
because I'm like, come on, you
Yeah.
know, because I'm looking like okay, so like Gluck is at 44,000.
Yeah.
Adam from Garage Gym Lab, I
Hmm.
don't remember where he is, but he's up
I
there
don't know.
too. Kyle is at I think 50 or 70,000
Yeah.
from Kaizen DIY.
Yeah.
Um, and then you've got like Brandon. He's at Basement Brandon.
Yeah.
He's got triple digits, right?
Hmm.
So I don't feel like I've arrived. But one thing I will say is I think that there's too much in the home gym content creator community where we feel like we're competing against each other.
Hmm.
And so people won't share these things with you,
Yeah.
right? They won't tell you, hey, by the way, you need to do this. So they
Yeah.
won't tell you, hey, you need to go, for example, you need to get a service like either TubeBuddy or vidIQ because that will help you with the SEO thing and it'll make it a lot simpler. They
Yeah.
won't tell you that,
Yeah.
right? But I can tell you that once I started using TubeBuddy, life got better for me, right?
I'm writing this down right now, by the way.
My thumbnails improved, my search engine optimization or my titles improved, my tags or on YouTube is keywords,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
keywords improved. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about is like, you remember I said I want home gym owners to succeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that includes the fact that you're trying to build a YouTube channel.
I think you just became my
See what
mentor.
I'm saying?
No. Yeah. So you're going back to the Yoda thing, man. So I mean, I think that things are relative. That, like
Yeah.
I mentioned, oh man, I'm just coming up on maybe 2,000 subscribers to Vintage Weights PGH. I'm thrilled with that because it wasn't
There's
that,
somebody out there with 500 who's wishing he was you.
and that was me, a year and a half ago. That was me a year
There
and a
you
half
go.
ago,
Yeah.
thinking like, holy crap, there's 100 people that are going to see my video. Like, I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
So that's where, or I was crossing the 1,000 mark and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is crazy. So that's where, I mean,
You put on a tuxedo because you're like, we made it.
yeah, we're here.
Let's go out and celebrate.
Exactly. I'm going to do a
We're
Steinborn squat
monetized.
with my tuxedo on. So
That's right.
yeah, I mean, I'm not foolish enough to think doing videos about old weights, I'm going to be like the next viral sensation, but I'm not doing this for nothing. I would like to gain subscribers. I would like to monetize. I would like to do all these things. So trying to learn about it, I think, yeah, being a community helps everybody. So like, Design Build Lift, Peach, he was one of the first people I spoke to on Instagram, and he wrote me a novel. Like I just loosely asked him via message, like, hey man, how do you do so well in here? And I had like, whatever, 7 followers and 3 posts. I mean, I had literally nothing. I was brand new. I joined the week before. I was nobody to this guy, and he wrote me a novel explaining Instagram to me and just breaking it down for me, every little thing. And then, fast forward 2 years on my other podcast, Lift History, that I do. He came on and we were chatting about stuff, and I brought that up, and sure enough, he said, oh, well, actually, like, Kyle from Kaizen DIY did that for me. So there's this kind of, if we all help each other, everyone's going to succeed mentality that I see in a lot of people that I really respect.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that.
I think some of it too is like people don't ask, and you don't want to feel like you're that guy telling somebody how to, like,
sure,
you could do better, but, and I don't want to be like that guy either. But like I said, I think that collectively as a group, we need to do better because our audience deserves it, because our audience is who we were, and wouldn't we have wanted the best? Like, there's so much stuff. I think one of the best, most, like, for me, content has to be entertaining, right? So for me, one of the people who's doing that the best, who's knocking it out of the park, is Dan McKim.
Oh, I don't watch him. Tell me more.
Oh man, okay, so he's on Instagram.
Okay,
and his Instagram is McKim Daniel. He is.
I do. I do watch him.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
like
he
three
does all the
times,
different
four times, something like that.
characters, and yes,
Yeah, with
100% I do.
Jenkins.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
Maxim
him.
Liftoff.
Love him.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, hilarious. Yeah,
Really cool dude, you know.
yeah,
So yeah, so I'm like, there's a place for that.
absolutely.
There's a
Yeah.
place for that kind of content.
Mhm.
And really, what is the technology required for that?
He's taping paper to his chest and putting on like a hat. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
but it's creative. And I'm like,
Totally.
why don't we have, I'm like, can we not have more of that kind of
Mhm.
stuff as opposed to every video having to be about equipment? And I don't mind equipment reviews. I mean, I like Jim Candy, like the next person, but does everything have to be reviews?
Yeah.
Because then I see people say stuff like, well, maybe is the home gym community dying because the views on my videos are going down? And I'm like, well, what are your videos about?
Yeah.
Because there's only so many times I can watch a review of this bench that looks just like the bench, as you were saying, that was like the bench that you reviewed last
Exactly.
week, before I lose interest. And in fact, that is actually one of the tests I do on videos. If I go and I watch a video that I made, how long can I watch this? This is during the editing process.
Okay.
How long can I watch this video before I pick up my phone to look at my phone
Yeah.
instead of watching the video? Because it's probably going to be less time than that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that right there, the point at which I wanted to pick up my phone or I got distracted and wanted to do something else, that's the point where I should cut out some of that fluff. Maybe I need to reshoot.
Yeah.
Because I need to hold your attention. That's even why I started doing the podcast the way I did. Because remember, before, my podcast was like everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to a certain extent, it was like I tried to put like the name tags or whatever up on the screen and edit and whatnot. But it was kind of like that. But then I was like, the content that I personally enjoy consuming is nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I tend to watch, like I'm a big proponent, not proponent, but habitually I'll put on a YouTube video while I'm washing dishes or something.
Yeah.
And it's just on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a topic, that I'm interested in. Typically it'll be like the NFL or something like that. And I'm just listening to them. And I noticed, I said, these guys, I mean, there's one guy, man, he'll have like a 4 hour live stream. And people are actively engaged, super chatting him and all that.
That's intense.
And I'm like, how's this guy got 3-4 hours?
Yeah.
Like he starts at 9 and it's after midnight and he's still going and people are like still communicating with him and they're playing super chats. And he only reads the super chats because he's got so many people on the thing, on his stream, that he can't read anything but super chats. I'm like, well, how's he holding people's attention? Oh, well, he's going from topic to topic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same thing all the time. And I said, okay.
Interesting. Okay.
And then I said, well, hold on. I do that with the radio when I'm listening to sports talk in the morning, or if I'm listening to talk radio in the morning. Oh, wait, they have segments. They have guests come on. It's broken up by things. Oh, I wonder if I could, wait a minute. Are there any fitness podcasts that do that? Oh, well, why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Because even like, what the big shocker was for me? Like, I felt like a little kid when he finds out Santa Claus isn't really the one who put the gifts under the tree.
Yeah, yeah.
Morning chalk up is actually done at night.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad. Because I had a moment earlier where I was thinking, as far as your Friday morning podcast, because Home Gym Con,
3 hours of lunacy. You can call it that. That's fine.
You were talking about like, could I do a Friday morning? Because Home Gym Con, Friday, April 26th. And I was thinking, wow, whenever we were going to Home Gym Con and you had said that, like to Jake, hey, can I do this? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Which, I mean, you're going to be at Home Gym Con. You do this Friday morning podcast. I don't think I'm letting any cat out of the bag here or anything crazy. Yeah. I thought to myself, man, I always do podcasts in the evening after my kids go to bed. There's been some here or there. If it's someone from overseas or something like that with a time difference that I'll do an afternoon. Yeah. And I thought, I don't know. Like, would I like getting up early and doing it? I mean, I train in the morning. I'm a morning lifter. So probably, I mean, I have a cup of coffee and then I come down to the gym. Why not have a cup of coffee and come down and do a podcast? So it got me thinking about it, like, maybe I will knock out a podcast, because every once in a while with some of my podcasts, I won't have a guest and I'll do something just on my own and talk through something. some
Yeah.
kind of topic. I did something on Louis Cyr, or I did a thing about
Yeah.
Richard Klein and stuff like that. So I thought, oh man,
Louis C is a cool dude.
I could
Isn't he
knock
the
out
one
one of
that used to
those.
pick his wife up with one hand at the
Yeah,
bar?
yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. So when you
Yeah.
made that switch, is there any time that you are foggy in the morning, or that anything's like you wouldn't want it?
So, I'll tell you this. First of all, I typically wake up like an hour to 2 hours early because I'm always afraid of oversleeping.
Yeah.
And I'll set my alarm for an hour ahead. I get everything ready the night before. So like everything's ready for tomorrow morning because we're filming this Thursday. We're doing
Yeah.
this Thursday night, and I got it in the morning. So everything's already ready. It's been ready since, well, except for the dance video, but it's been ready since like 2 p.m. because I knew I was going to be doing this with you. So I was like, all right, well, let me
Yeah.
just knock it all out. All right. And then I set my alarm for like an hour ahead of time because I get up, I shave. Not only does it help me wake up, but I don't ever get on camera without like scruffy or whatever. I just don't. So, because I never know if this is the first time somebody's ever seen me, and then they're like, I want to make a good first impression,
Yeah.
right? All right. So, I always wake up that nervous anticipation. I wake up early, so
Hmm.
I'm like, okay. So I get up and I literally go like I'll talk about my pre-workout. I'll say, oh yeah, I use this pre-workout or whatever. I literally use it. I got some by my bed, and I'll open my eyes, grab it, take a drink, get up, start getting my day ready. Shave, and then I'll come in here and I'll do any last minute prep that I have to do, and then I'm always super nervous as I watch that counter on because I use StreamYard,
Okay.
and I'm watching the countdown, and it's like counting down. You're going live in 10 seconds. 5, 9, 8, 7, 6. You know what I mean? Or you're going live in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like it tells you how long you have till you go live.
Whew, I'm not
And I'm
used to
just
that.
watching it like,
On
and I'm just sitting
Riverside, we
there
have
like,
5 seconds. That's it. So
I'm just like, okay.
2 minutes.
Well, because so this is recorded. This is live. So
Yeah. This is live
like
stream.
it's scheduled
Yeah.
already.
Sure.
So it's telling you, hey, you got an hour before you're going live in an hour,
Yeah,
going live in
yeah.
30 minutes, going live in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it counting you. So then you get to that last 2 minutes, and it's just like, have I forgotten anything? Because once I start, I don't get up.
True. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, did I get everything? Okay, is it all right? I start praying. I'm like, let me not mess up, and then is everything going to work?
Yeah.
Is anybody going to even watch? I always have that fear.
Sure.
But the only way to not be afraid of things is to desensitize yourself to it. And so normally the more afraid I am of doing things, the more I know I should do it. Because I don't want to be afraid of things.
Yeah.
And so taking that plunge, man, was rough. So now I will tell you that one thing I did that first episode was I kind of tried to cheat a little bit. I said, all right, I may not be able to get anybody to wake up early to watch it, right? So I reached out to people I knew in other countries who would be awake anyway.
Perfect. Perfect.
I was like, hey, yeah, so can you tune in at this time?
Yeah.
And, just tell me what you think of it, because everybody likes to be right.
Yeah.
So, hey, critique this and see what I can do to improve. I was like, yeah, you can always get people to show up to tell you what you did wrong. I'm like, all right, perfect.
Absolutely.
And let's put people in other countries, and because they'll be awake anyway. They're like, yeah, I'll tune in for a sec, for a little bit. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Perfect. All right. So that's what
That's
I did.
interesting. Yeah. I've thought about I've only done a handful of live streams, just on Instagram, just little things here or there. Like when I put out, with micro gains, when I put out my product, Vintage Gains, I did like a little live stream. This is how you use them. This is what they are. I've done kind of assembling some equipment and things when I restored an old preacher pad, York preacher pad. But I've tinkered around with the idea of doing that more and doing some things, live events, and just announcing it ahead of time. Just even put it out there. Like, hey, I'm doing a gym tour live, like Tuesday at 8:00, whatever. And then instead of doing like a pre-produced, here's my gym right now kind of video that I see a lot of people do, just doing it live and like walking around my gym. Okay, here are the barbells I got in here right now. And then interacting with people, that are asking questions about them, the history of them, what they are, anything like that. So,
I mean, I think that stuff would be cool, But I think for your channel, what would be interesting that I've not seen except maybe
Mhm.
one time is I remember when they were doing Strongest Man in History
Mhm.
and they did that tour of Paul Anderson's home gym.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So I'm like,
The
if
York
you
deep dish.
could, especially as you've made contacts with people,
Hmm.
if you were able to go to, let's say, Farmer Bob Peoples, I don't even know if the house is still there,
Yeah,
but if you were able to go to like the home gyms of these old time people and say, hey, this is the, I'm just spitballing now, okay? I don't
yeah,
even know if
yeah,
this is, like I said, I don't know if these houses are even still there,
yeah, yeah.
but you say, oh well, this is where John Grimmick used to train in the attic after he get home from working all night.
I would love that.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I would
It's
love
like
that.
so it's not just a home gym.
Yeah,
Like of course the big thing is this is where Arnold Schwarzenegger used to dig up his mama's garden
yeah,
to do deadlifts and stuff, which I'm
yeah.
sure she loved. To do deficit, not deficits. He did deadlifts, and then he would add dirt every week
Hmm.
until he was doing on the deadlift on level ground, which ended up with him pulling like 700 pounds
Yeah,
in powerlifting competition. But my point is, things like that, home gyms of historical
I would love
significance.
that. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's a
This
great
is where
idea.
Theodore Roosevelt worked out. This
Yeah,
is where
yeah.
Benjamin Franklin first started working out with dumbbells.
Dumbbells.
I mean, just depends on what's
Sure.
around you in your area. But there's so much historical stuff out there. It's just like, man, it'd be so cool to just say, hey, can I
I
come in there? Can I tour this?
I don't think I'll have much competition for this because it's such a niche kind of thing. So I don't mind saying that I've been working on this for a while. It's a passion project type of thing that I'm sure will get like 3 views because it combines the city that I love, Pittsburgh, that's PGH
Yeah.
in my name, and York Barbell. And it's
Yeah.
basically sort of doing what you're saying. But what I realized, I was reading, it's a Muscletown. It's a great book by John Fair. I think that's his name, the author, just telling the story of York. And as I went through it, every time Pittsburgh was mentioned, I made like a little note
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, this is cool. I didn't know this. I didn't know that Bob Hoffman was in Pittsburgh. I didn't know that this thing was in Pittsburgh. I didn't know this
Yeah.
thing was here. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a video. I'm going to go to all these places. I'm going to find where this is in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. I'm going to stand on that street corner and I'm going to say, this is the spot. Like, this is where he lifted
Yeah.
it. Like, so, and I don't think that's a mass appeal type of thing. How many people really care to see me walk around Pittsburgh for York Barbell's
I mean,
history's
you never
sake?
know.
But it's something I want to do and it's my channel. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, you
So
never know like what might be
I
interesting
never
just from the
know.
standpoint of like the historical significance. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what if you're able to get, I mean, I don't know how you'd get like the sponsorship for this sort of stuff,
Yeah.
but have you ever seen Arnold Knows Me?
I don't know. I don't think so.
All right,
No.
so
Arnold
it's
knows
on
me.
YouTube. It's
Okay.
free, and everybody wants to watch it. I
Okay.
highly recommend it. It's the Tommy Kono story,
Oh, okay.
and so the reason the title comes from someone asked him if he knew Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he said Arnold knows me
Love it.
because he was
That's
actually one of
awesome.
Arnold's heroes when Arnold
Yeah,
was growing up. Because
absolutely.
Tommy Kono was a world champion, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they show the reason how that relates is one of the segments shows the basement where he trained for the Olympics.
Mm.
And he said that he had to stand in exactly the right spot because when he did the snatch, if you went too far to the left or the right, the weights would hit the rafters
Ah,
because the basement was so low,
I've
ceiling was
heard
so
that
low.
before. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, so he had to
Yeah.
stand in the exact same spot.
Mhm.
He had like his spot. He's like, I know I had to stay right here, right? So that's what I thought of when that, and then that thing where they went to Paul Anderson's
I would love that.
house.
That was
And
great.
I,
With
I would
Brian
say that a
Shaw.
lot of these places
Yeah.
they would let you in because they're like, yeah, we don't want this
Why
to
not?
die. You know what I mean?
The job I went with York, and I told them when I was there. I mean, the problem is a Canadian company at this point owns York, USA. So I don't know what the funding's like for the York Museum, but when I toured it last summer and went through it, they were so kind to me. I mean, the gentleman, he just noticed my friend and I out in the parking lot because we were trading some weights. So I was taking out some globe
Yeah.
dumbbells that I was giving him, and he was taking out a barbell he had for me. So
Yeah.
when we met up, we were trading some weights first in the parking lot, and then we are going in to look around the museum. And so before we even got inside, he came out and said, "Hey guys, what do you got there? Like, what's going on?" And I
Yeah.
honestly thought we were in
Did you
trouble
just
at
rob
first.
us?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we're just we're two guys. We really like old weights. So,
Yeah.
and then he's like, no, I want to see him. Like, he was obsessed. So then he was like, oh, well, I'll show you
Yeah.
around. I'm like, okay, great. So he was so nice, took us around. long story short, he takes us upstairs and shows us this room that the John Grimmick estate is stored in.
Oh wow.
And it's everything that was bequeathed to York Barbell by the Grimmick estate. So it's all John
Right.
Grimmick's personal stuff. Everything from like the nameplate that sat on his desk to like the original manuscripts for articles that he wrote, like all
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
box after box after box. And it's all just boxed up sitting there. And I said, well,
Wow.
what are you doing with it? And he's like, oh, trust me. Like I think about stuff all the time that I want to do with it, displays, things like that, but we just, we haven't gotten to it. I was like, listen, man, I don't live that far away. I'm 2.5 hours away. Like I could
Yeah.
come out for a whole week in the summer and catalog all of this. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like pay me a stipend, make it worth my while. You don't have to make me rich,
Yeah.
but make it worth my while to like explain to my wife basically why I'm going to be out of town for a week. And I will sit in
Well,
that room for 24 hours a day, like, and catalog
okay.
that. It'd be so fun. Oh,
I got the idea. All right. You understand that what you're doing is a historical project, right? So
yeah,
it's essentially educational.
absolutely. Yeah.
You could get a grant.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
Get a grant to be able to complete it,
Mm.
especially when you say, "Oh, well, we're talking about this," or "We're talking
Mm-hmm.
about this," you know, and you never know what it'll turn into. You say, "Well,
It's
I'm doing a
true.
documentary about this,"
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
I
it's
like it.
7 parts or whatever. But I mean, I think it's worthwhile because it's a part of not letting our history die.
Yeah.
And so much stuff is cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's those things like the monkey feet?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Okay,
health
well, those are
shoes,
just
iron
iron boots.
boots. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just iron boots, but
Pretty much.
they've come back around,
Yeah.
And so I'm like or even like well, yeah, you get the idea. So basically, it's cyclical,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that it's very easy to forget where these ideas came from.
I
You
agree.
know,
I agree.
I mean, I fully expect them to somebody to come up with one of those Dan Lurie moon benches again at some point,
Yeah. It's going to happen.
and they'll say, "Oh, well, this is an innovation we've
Oh,
come
yeah.
up with." Like, "Oh,
Brand
really?
new.
So
Yeah.
you didn't see this in a magazine somewhere and decided to bring it out?"
Yeah.
And so I just think that it's something, like I said, it's important for the sake of preserving our past, but then you obviously have a passion for it. So I'm like, hey, you find somebody who can write grants, help you out.
It's a great
You might
idea.
be able to actually do this thing, and it's an important thing.
And it would serve something to York that would benefit them. They could have a
Yeah.
new display in their museum. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
So and then I think it'd be really, really cool to do,
That's a
man.
great
So
idea. I love it.
I hope you're able to work it.
Yeah.
He's writing
We'll see what
again.
happens. Yeah. I'm taking notes, man. I always take notes.
Okay.
Always.
All right.
Otherwise, sometimes ideas are fleeting, and yeah,
Yeah.
I like to write them down. So,
And I mean, I like the idea of you being able to do it because that's the other thing too. Often we look for, well, how can we pay for it? Well, who can we get to sponsor this?
yeah, yeah.
Whatever. Well, sometimes companies aren't going to be into sponsoring it because they're like, well, what's the benefit for us?
Yeah.
All right. Well, but the government has a vested interest, like they do grants all the
Mm-hmm.
time. And then other companies will do grants, if it's of historical significance.
Yeah.
So you never know, man, because it is so heavy, like what you're trying to do, it is so heavily invested in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You might find people who are willing to pay for it just because it's related to Pittsburgh.
True.
And you do the same thing with
Yeah.
wherever else you end up going. Because
That's right.
I'd love to see 10 years down the road, you just traveling around
Hey.
looking at old weights in different countries. You're in, where's the dang, Husafell
Spell Stone?
cheap.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah, you're
That'd be
there and
awesome.
you're hooking it. Yeah, man, there's
Oh.
also, the
Iceland's
possibilities
on my
are endless.
bucket list, man. So yeah, I would love to.
Possibilities are endless.
Love that.
It's just a matter of, so I'm never the guy that says, "Oh man, it can't be done," because everything that exists once only existed in the mind of somebody who thought it could be done.
That's very true. It's very true. Well, what I would like to be done and what I think can be done is meeting up once again at Home Gym Con. So
100%.
looking forward to it. It's
Yeah,
in
man.
sight. I mean, it is almost April. So that means
Yeah.
we're about a month away, less than that by the time this
Yeah.
drops in a week or two. It'll only be a couple weeks away. That's a good place I think I'd like to end out.
Sure.
John, is that what are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to get out of Home Gym Con this year based on your experience last year?
For me, home gym con, and this is gonna sound like when I say stuff like this, I sound old. Okay, but I really get a great deal of pleasure from seeing people start believing that this thing could be something, and so I'm looking forward to seeing it grow. And my wife laughs at me because she says that I act as if I'm the one that came up with the idea because I take so much joy in seeing people like believing in this idea, right? And I'm like, yeah, but to me, it's like a promise I didn't realize I was making to my 20-year-old self, 20 something year old self. You gotta think like, man, I've had a home gym since 2000. I'm 50 years old now. I've had a home gym since 2001, and finally, there's something. I went to the Arnold. I told you in 2013.
Yeah, yeah.
There's something that's I look at as for me as opposed to like where we're going to be the focal point,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to where we go to every other event and we're an afterthought.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the number one thing. Seeing everybody there is cool. As far as products go, there's some stuff that I'm interested in seeing just in person. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the Exponent Edge.
Mm.
I don't know if he'll have the Infinity Bench there, he said, but he won't necessarily have it for sale yet. But I'll get to actually see it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to checking out the Bells of Steel booth.
Okay.
Kayvon promised that he would come on the podcast
Nice.
Friday morning.
That's great.
So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, man. I'm rounding people up to come.
I'll keep it nice and quiet while I set up the grip competition Friday morning. So,
well, what time are you setting up the grip competition?
I'll have it Thursday night. I'm getting in on Wednesday night.
Oh yeah.
So Thursday night I'll get it set up. But I'll be putting the finishing touches
we'll
on
going
it.
From,
and
yeah.
So
I'll
be poking my head in, just kind of checking on things, saying hi. But
oh yeah, you're welcome. Because we're starting. My start time does not change.
Yeah.
Because I talked to Jake today. I was like, "Are you guys in Central Time or Eastern Time?" He said Eastern Time. I said, "Okay, cool." Because we're starting at 6 a.m.
Love it.
So I'm just letting you know I need my stuff ready to go 6 a.m. Because at 6 a.m. I'm hitting go live.
Yeah.
And we're going until 9. The only difference is we'll probably cut out at 9:05 instead of going till 9:30 because that's when the open workout will be.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go downstairs and basically start.
Weigh-in starts at 9, and then the grip competition starts at 10. So that's where, about 7, 8 o'clock.
So I'm gonna be
finishing touches on things. So I'll be around.
9:30 is usually when I stop. But
that's great.
That day only, I'll be like, okay, 9:05. Hey, good morning, West Coast. All right, we're done. And I'm going to head on downstairs and get into it. I'm trying to think like as far as any other specific products, there's not really anything that I'm just like, oh man, this like I want to see the change plate hanger from Micro Gains.
Yeah.
That he just came out with. I'm looking forward to seeing that in person.
Mine are kicking around on the floor behind me. For the most part, it's just like
little odds and ends.
Me too.
It's like little odds and ends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think like some of the companies that are going to be there. Oh, God, I'm going to mess up their name. U4C Fitness.
U4C Fitness.
They made J hooks specifically for standing calf raises.
Oh.
They're actually going to be guests in the morning. They'll be my first guest in the morning. So when you wake up to go work out, turn it on and you'll be able to see them. But they have J hooks that are made so that, like if you do standing calf raise with a barbell, you got to hold the bar. Okay. You're trying to balance and everything. Well, this allows you to put the bar inside these specially designed J hooks, so you don't have to worry about your balance.
Okay,
you can just focus on just up down.
That's cool.
For the calf raise. So they'll be there and they'll be cool. And we talked about me seeing it in person.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. But a lot of it, honestly, is relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people I didn't, I saw last year. I'm like, hey, I want to run into you again. Like Ashley Hromiak. We've been working together quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing her again. She's actually supposed to check my weight loss because I told her the same thing I told you about putting on the weight and how I was uncomfortable in my skin at the first home gym con.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to lose weight. So she said, okay. I said, matter of fact, you got permission to call me out if I don't.
Look at that.
I said, I'm not showing up looking the same. So she said, okay. So that's going to be something that I do when I'm there. Ashley's going to be like, all right, let's see. Did you lose any weight? Nice. I feel safe because last year, just so you know, I was at a size 38.
Okay.
Almost, size 38. I could have put on 40 size 40-inch pants.
Whew. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing 34s now with room.
Now look at you.
Okay. Now I'll tell you this. Nobody else has heard this, but because the side effect of squatting
Uh-huh.
is you grow in your thighs and your butt,
It's
right?
tough.
So my waist is 30,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
can wear
yeah.
32s. And the other day I had on a pair of those stretch jeans, the size 32s. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And something fell, and I bent over to pick. I squatted down. I didn't bend over. I'd have been fine if I bent over. I
Yeah.
squatted down to pick it up.
Not good.
Down goes Frazier.
Yeah.
So the pants split.
Split.
And I said, yeah. Fortunately, and I was at work.
Oh,
So
man.
fortunately, I keep an emergency pair of pants there, so I was able to change.
That's
I
good.
came home. I told my wife, I said, "Yeah,
We're sticking.
I'm
34.
going to be wearing 34s from now on."
34.
She just started laughing.
I'm hoping to get back into 36s. I set the goal for myself
Okay.
that I came in too heavy last year at my grip competitions, and so I wanted to get down under. I was coming in 214, 210, and so I wanted to get closer down to 200 because just like any other competition, if you can get down into that lower weight class, you're going to do better.
You can change who you're going up against.
Plus, just for my own physical health too.
Sure.
It's starting to creep.
You want to feel comfortable in your skin.
Exactly. The pounds were starting to creep up, so it's good to have goals. And I'm like, you know what? Well, next spring, the grip competition's next spring. I'm going to be at that lower weight class. We're going to do this. So that's what I've been working towards. So I'm hoping.
Plus, I mean, something that
I got one
we
more
don't
month to
think
go.
about.
I'm almost there. I need
I believe in you, man.
I need another couple pounds, but I think I'm going to make it. Yeah,
I believe in you.
So we'll get there.
I mean, another thing we don't think about. I don't think that you need to look like a Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Or whatever, a fitness model or whatever, but we are kind of in the fitness business.
Yeah.
And you kind of need to look like, if you're going to be in the fitness business, you kind of need to look like you can't walk, to me, you can't walk around looking like 250 pounds of chewed bubble gum and be in the fitness business. Yeah. That's not a good look.
There's only one person on earth
me.
that needs to think that I look great, and that's my wife. But I agree with you that, it's, people are forgiving with a bald barber, that this man mastered his craft. But on the other hand, if you're in the fitness industry, I don't care how old you are. Like there was a post by Robbie Robinson yesterday that I was like, would you look at this man? Would you look at him? Like this post that he put out yesterday, I was like, and this is like a current post of him just doing like a side bicep. And I was just like, what in the world? Like
he looks phenomenal.
He's phenomenal.
He's like 80 now? Is he in his 80s yet?
He's up there. And
because he's at least late 70s.
Oh, yeah. At least late 70s.
Yeah.
And so it's stuff like that inspires me to think, there's no point where, you need to just say, oh, I'm retired. I'm going to lift weights to the day I die. So, yeah.
I mean, I want to, and I mean, it's not that I want people to think I look great. To your point, I mean, I'm married, and as long as she's happy, that's good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also, look, I am, like, nobody kidnapped me and forced me to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm putting myself out there as a content creator, and some people call it an influencer. Well, that goes to credibility. Why should they listen to anything else I say if I don't look like I listen to it myself?
Very true.
How can I say that working out at home is the best gym in town if I don't look like I lift weights?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Makes sense to me.
Or if I at least look like I work out. And I mean, now I will say I do have the advantage. I mean, I'm older than most of the other content creators in the home gym space. So as long as I just kind of maintain it, they're like, oh, I was like, I'm 50. They're like, really? Like, yeah. But I don't want people to be like, oh, you look good for 50. No, I want to take my shirt off and make everybody at the pool party mad.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No.
That's the goal.
Hey, guys like Robbie Robinson, they're out there doing it, so why not?
Yeah, I'm like, Robbie, please put your shirt back on. You make me look
my goodness. Or a gentleman that I had on here, Craig Munson. He when he first hopped on before I hit record that night that I recorded with him, he was like, I had to miss my last set at the gym for this. And I was like, you're coming from the gym?
Funny.
And he was like, yeah, like I train every day. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I mean, I forget exactly how old, but Craig is in his 70s and he was coming from the gym. And why not?
Yeah.
So, and he looks like it. I mean, you see Craig Monson and you're like,
Well, I
wow,
mean,
that
here's the
man.
other thing too. When you get to so like my dad is in that age range, and I'm just like, I don't understand why you don't work out.
Yeah.
And like you got to be at work tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's true.
mean,
You do
come
have
on,
more time.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Generally
you
speaking,
can
that.
lift weights and then you can lift weights and take a nap until tomorrow when you
Yeah.
lift weights again.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Exactly.
what are you doing, man?
Yeah, that is a very good point. That it's generally
Like, come on,
speaking.
you're gonna fill your time up with something.
That's true.
Go ahead,
That's
work
true.
out. Why not? So yeah. Anyway,
Well, hey, John, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
likewise.
I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me, man. My
Yeah.
pleasure. I'm sorry it took so long to get this done,
I
but
know. I'm sorry I took so long. I felt like I was the one who took forever to come around. So, yeah,
okay, we'll blame you.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
it's fine.
I'll take it. I'm the host on this
I was
podcast. I'll take it.
intimidated by how melodious
Yeah,
your
yeah.
voice is.
Oh,
I was
thank
like,
you.
man, how do I measure up to that? Golly.
Oh no, your Yoda wisdom. That's how you measure up. Well, listeners, I'll drop all the information for Garage Gym Life in the description, of course. And you can just find him on YouTube, all the normal spots, Instagram, you name it. And yeah, check out that Friday morning podcast as well. And then, of course, at Home Gym Con, it was a regular sight last year to see John, doing his thing around Home Gym Con. So I would only imagine that there's going to be some good content coming out of there too. So stop by, say hi to me, say hi to John at Home Gym Con if you're coming out.
Yep.
And yeah,
100%.
we'll see you there, John.
Yeah, man.
All
See you
right.
there.